Thank you for watching. In this tutorial, I will be walking you through step by step how to install Red Hat Linux ISO version 7.6 on your VirtualBox machine. Before we get started, there are two prerequisite items that I'd like to bring to your attention that we would need in order to do a successful installation. First thing, you'll need a VirtualBox on your actual machine. If you'll notice right here, this icon right here is for my VirtualBox I've already installed. If you need a walkthrough, a step-by-step on how to install the VirtualBox onto your machine, I will have a subsequent video, and I encourage you to watch that if you have any difficulty. But in a moment, I will show you the location where to go get the free download online. The second thing that you will need for this installation is going to be a VDI image of the Linux ISO you will be using. There's a lot of different flavors of Linux. So for example, there's Ubuntu or Red Hat. Now, both of those are free. Red Hat is definitely the one that is most used. However, I would cite that the main difference is that with Red Hat, if you do choose to do any updates or you'd like to upgrade, you will have to pay for that support. So let's go ahead and get started with this installation. I'm going to go and click on my browser. I'm going to open up my browser, and I'm actually going to show you where to go get the free download for the VirtualBox. That's going to be the VirtualBox website, which is www.virtualbox.org. Now, I apologize in advance because my record square is kind of hiding this downloads link right here, but the download link is actually third from the top, and you'll click on the download link and it will reveal the various download options and packages available by VirtualBox. So for most installations and for the installation we will be doing today is I will be using the Windows host. However, there are other hosts available if you're using Solaris or Linux distributions, anything like this. There are the other options here. But for the Windows download, typically you'll just click here and it will automatically initiate the downloading process. Because I've already downloaded the VirtualBox onto my machine, I'm going to skip this step for now and close out of my browser. Now go to your desktop and we're going to click on the actual VirtualBox to open it up here. And if you'll see right here, here's my VirtualBox. It says welcome to your VirtualBox. Right now, though I have the VirtualBox on my desktop on my machine, I do not, however, have any virtual machines installed. And so that's what we'll be installing today. We're going to be installing the Red Hat Linux. Once you click on new, it's going to pop open a box, and the box is going to ask you to describe your new virtual machine. The new virtual machine, again, that we will be installing today is going to be Red Hat. And as you start typing Red Hat into the name box, you'll know you're doing it correctly because the Red Hat will appear over to your right. And the type is Linux 64-bit. So we're going to click next. Now, next it's going to take you to the memory size. The defaulted memory size is 1024 megabytes, which equals about 1 gig of memory. So this amount is actually perfect for what I'm trying to do. I will be using this mostly for personal use, so I'll click next. Now, next we're going to go to the hard disk, and it's going to ask you to select your hard disk option here. So there are three. The first one is do not add a virtual hard disk. Second one is create a virtual hard disk now. Last option is use an existing virtual hard disk file. As you can see, I do not have any. So what I'd like to do is create a virtual hard disk now. I will make sure that this is selected. This selection right here is selected, and I will press create. Now for this step, this is going to ask you which hard disk file type that you would like to use. For this installation, we will be using the VirtualBox disk image. However, if you would like to be able to possibly move your operating systems around, then I would recommend possibly looking into one of these other options here. but we'll go ahead, since this is what we're going to be doing today, the VDI, I will go ahead and click next. So now we are at the storage or physical hard disk location, and it's actually asking you to choose whether you would like for your virtual hard disk to grow, or would you like it to remain a fixed size. The dynamically allocated option allows your disk size to essentially just grow. So as your disk space fills up, the dynamically allocated file will search for other space, whereas the fixed size will just be a fixed amount of space that you've allocated for your hard disk file. In this installation and for my specific needs, I will just go ahead and select the fixed size option and click next. So it's going to take you to the file location and size. So here I have Red Hat. It's located here. The default is 8 gigabytes, which is sufficient for me. Again, you are able to, kind of scale this based on what your specific needs are, but 8 gigabytes is going to work for us today, and I will click create. Now, while that creates, I'm going to just wait here for a few seconds for that to load. It typically doesn't take a long time to do. And so once this is created, we will see this actual virtual machine. We have just a few seconds remaining. Just a few seconds, waiting. All right. So now we'll see that Red Hat it shows up right here. I'm going to click on settings here, and we're going to go to storage. So right now you see that the disk is empty. So that means that we have to tell the VirtualBox where to locate the Red Hat. So we're going to get the Red Hat download from the Red Hat site. So I'm going to cancel here, and I'm going to minimize this. And I now am going to click open my browser. Now, the easiest way to do this part is to actually go into Google and then Google Red Hat Linux download. And the Red Hat Linux download that you put into Google is going to take you directly to the Red Hat developer Red Hat Enterprise Linux download site. Now, to make it easier for you, I will include this actual URL at the conclusion of the video and also in the description box below. If you'll notice that there are various versions of Linux that are available. The most recent version of Linux that's available is the 8.0. For this installation, I will be doing 7.6. There are other options here. But again, we are going to be installing Linux version 7.6, and so I'm going to click to initiate the download. Now, once you click that, you do have two options when you get to this page. If you see here, I already have a Red Hat account. So because I already have a Red Hat account, you'll see my email right here. If you do not have a Red Hat account, you will click this, and you can click this option right here to create your account. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. You will walk through, it'll ask you for some basic information there, and then when you press next, it'll also ask you for some of your personal information, just address, name, things like that, and then they will send you an email that you need to verify to move to the next step. So because I have already established a Red Hat account here, I'm going to just click next to start the login, and then I'm going to go ahead and log in with my password. Now, after you have validated your email, if you are a first-time Red Hat user or you have logged in, your system will automatically begin downloading this onto your system. And so right here, I would like to show in a folder. I always do that because I do want to kind of see where this is going to be located. To be sure, just because even in that view, it was a little confusing as to where it was going to land upon the download. So I will put open when done. And at this time, because we do have 22 minutes, I will pause this video for YouTube time. So now that my installation is complete and I selected, if you recall, I selected to show, once this installation was complete, I wanted to show in folder. So the folder and where the location is of the installation is actually drive E, which isn't C nor D, but E. That is why I think it's a great best practice to make sure that you check the box so that you know exactly where this file is going to be located, because you will need that for the next step. So we're going to minimize this, and I'm going to actually open my VirtualBox again. And if you see, Red Hat is still there, but I'm going to go to settings. And in my settings again, I'm going to go to the storage, which again is empty, but I'm going to click on that disk, because what I would like to do is what we are doing right now. We are telling the VirtualBox manager where the Red Hat file is located on our system. So I click on this empty disk, and it's going to open up this section with attributes. And we're going to click on this little disk right there. There's a little drop down menu or little arrow right there, if you will. You click on that, and because we located that file and that file was actually saved to my drive E, we're going to select drive E and then press OK. Now, once we've done that, you'll see that we can go ahead and start. So we're going to start to install the Red Hat onto the VirtualBox Manager. My apologies in advance if this may take a little while, so bear with me. Now you'll see that the VirtualBox, or the virtual machine rather, the Red Hat virtual machine is initiating. And what you're going to want to do is we're going to want to follow the steps. We're going to be prompted to go through several steps to actually initiate and install this Red Hat Linux platform successfully onto our VirtualBox. One thing that I would like for us to remember, one thing that I'd like to bring to your attention, are these two messages here at the top. The one refers to the auto capture keyboard option, and this message is just letting us know that that option is on, and this will cause the virtual machine to automatically capture the keyboard every time the Virtual Manager window is activated, and make it unavailable to other applications running on your host machine when the keyboard is activated. The other message is that the virtual machine reports that the operating system does not support the mouse pointer integration in the current mode. So that's just saying that the mouse is going to be different inside of this box, because it is essentially a whole different machine on your machine. So while this mouse is kind of doing what it's doing here, the mouse inside of this box, which is your new virtual machine, it doesn't support this mouse. It is going to be a little different, and we'll see that in just a second. But I will close out of these messages. Here, we're at 21%. We are waiting for that to get to 100. So I will do another pause for YouTube time. So we're at 99, 100%, and we will go through, and you see it is getting started here. Everything's loading. And right now it's starting the installer, which can take a little while. So again, I apologize in advance for the wait. Now, what you will notice is kind of what I had said before, that the mouse is different inside of this box because this is your actual virtual machine. It's different than the mouse outside of it. So now, if you move your mouse will be within this box. Sometimes it's a little awkward for some people to see. We've selected our language. So now it'll take you to this installation page, and it's almost like a checklist of different things that you have to review before moving forward, or actually moving forward into the actual installation onto your VirtualBox system. So I will click on date and time, and it is a little delayed. So, even though you click on it, it will hesitate a little bit, but that's normal. So it looks like the time zone is accurate. So I'm going to click done. And I'm going to set up my keyboard. Again, there is that delay. And you're going to go through, make sure all of these things are accurate here. I'm going to go through, make sure everything is accurate. All right, and then click done. Now, once you have visited all of those options, you can begin the installation onto your system, which takes just a few moments also, so bear with me. Now, if you see here, the next step after the installation process is going to be the configuration. And so with the configuration, we will be asked to select a root password, and then we will also be asked to create a user profile. And so we will go through each of those steps in just a second as soon as it completes its installation process. If you want to get a gauge on how long exactly this is going to take a look at these numbers down here. Right now I'm at 15 out of 340, just to put it in perspective. So now it looks like everything's pretty much setting up, and it is performing all of the post-installation setup tasks. So as you can tell, the installation is complete, and we are now ready to establish a root password. So root password is not set. We're going to set that right now. Root password, very important that you use a password that you're not going to forget, because there's no chance to kind of go back and change that. If it would help, it would be great if you could store that password somewhere safe so that you'll always have that moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. And then click done. So I have already established my root password. Now what I'm going to do is establish a username. Username is going to be and you want to make sure you click this box right here, make this user administrator, because I would like to be administrator. And then I'm going to create a password. Again, one that you will not forget. I'm actually using the same one. Don't tell anybody. And we'll click done. and then we'll go ahead and finish the configuration. Okay, so now since we have already installed our Red Hat Linux virtual machine onto the VirtualBox, now let's test it and make sure that we did everything correct. So we're going to go ahead and click Start so we can start running the Red Hat, and you'll see the VirtualBox pops up, and then the Linux will pop up. We'll just wait a second for it to start to run. And so here we are at the Linux screen, and I am going to attempt to log in just to test and make sure everything's working okay. So I'm going to put my username that I created as well as my password. And as long as it gives you last login, I'm now logged in. It's T Musinga at localhost. All right, so it worked. If you have any questions about this installation, we are finally finished. Please leave those in the comments below, or feel free to contact me anytime. I will make it my point to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Bye.